So let's start. Hi, Priti. This is Saurabh here, and thank you for coming to this podcast and giving us your time today. Let's get into some interesting conversation. So, I want to ask you the first question. How did you end up in the mental health professional field? You are a software
So,
professional.
yeah, Saurabh, thank you so much for getting me into this podcast. This is the first time I think we are getting into a podcast. We have just met so many times often, but thank you for this. Coming to your question, how did I get into the field of mental health? Well, I've been in the field of IT for the past 20 years. And I've been chasing deadlines. I have been working with difficult clients, and I have been into a managerial position. I've traveled abroad a lot, so that gave me insights into the human psychology, and that promoted me to take interest in it. So I went and pursued a course in psychology. I'm a diploma holder in psychology, and that's how I coach people. I counsel them into various issues like stress management, relationships also.
Nice.
So my need to nurture relationships is where this comes from, where I like being with people and I like helping them out. And I like to see the glow on their face when they actually get that aha moment. So that's the reason
Nice.
behind, getting into this field and working in it.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. It's always great, it feels always great that someone is actually working in this field and nurturing relationships and actually helping out people. So essentially, when I read about you, I saw that you also help people, get over their addictions and get over their habits. So can you just define what addiction is, or what these there are various habits that lead to addictions?
Basically, addiction comes in the form of repetitive habits which are detrimental towards your health, physical as well as mental. There are various reasons why people resort to addiction. Unfortunately, in today's times, we have the mobile addiction, and it's a new age addiction, and people are so much into it. It's very difficult to predict whether you are addicted to it, or if it is detrimental, but it's so much rampant with all of us that calling it an addiction would be an understatement now, because we all are into it and we all realize that it we need to get over it, but we just can't. Okay, so the latest form is definitely the mobile or the gadget addiction, but otherwise the traditional forms have been the behavior abuse or the substance abuse. The substance can be in the form of drugs or anything, and behavior could be in the form of sex addiction or food addiction or any of those categories. So that's how it is. So, and now latest bandwagon is about the mobile or the gadget addiction or anything which is which takes your privacy, where you have a room to.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Being the social media coming closer, the technology evolving, we have a mobile phones, we have tablets. So it's very easy to get an access to technology. And yes, we are not just, our generation, the next, the previous, everybody is now getting addicted. In fact, people are addicted to social media so much that, they're totally into it. Irrespective of the fact that they don't know who the person next to them is, or what he does, or what she does. So, essentially, I am a men's coach when I describe myself, and I would be moving this conversation slightly towards there. So, I want to ask you, what are the some of the common factors that can lead to addiction, especially in men in today's time when we are moving past COVID? There is stress, there is anxiety, and everything. What are the common factors that push men to these addictions?
One is the easy availability of gadgets. I will speak specifically related to mobile addiction because that's where people are predominantly stuck with.
Yes.
It's more to do with boredom. It's the accessibility, availability of the device, which is your own, which is very, very private. So the moment you get that moment, you just stick your head in it, and there you are. It's very engrossing. And if I actually observe the way these websites or these apps are made, they are done with the user behavior in mind. So they know how to enthrall you, how to get you, how to lure you into them and keep you engaged for hours together. So predominantly it starts starts with studying the user behavior and getting you entangled. So the moment you see something which is of interest to you, for example, let's take Instagram. You
Right.
log into Instagram, you start seeing health related videos first. You're very health conscious, but then Instagram starts flashing in the background other kind of videos, and then it starts, it just starts, whether it's Instagram or
Scrolling,
Facebook or
everything.
anything, you just start swiping. It is the same with your dating sites, also similar psychology where you are browsing and you just have to swipe left. You have to just swipe left. The culture is really picking up so badly, where you have so many choices without getting entangled, and it is just available. Internet is available almost for free. Everyone has a gadget. Gaming industry is killing people because they lure you into the money factor. See, you have celebrities endorsing it. The
Absolutely.
kind of advertisements that are made are so incorrect, and that really lures people into it. And gaming really engages you. Most of the games that are made, it's absolutely harmful to people. There is no time limit to it. So in the name of learning, you get into it and you just don't know when to stop it. It just puts you on a high. And the results are definitely in terms of depression or any kind of stress, which makes you feel you're not worthy because you have not really spent time doing anything productive or useful.
But you mentioned boredom. So when you say boredom, isn't it that people are in a relationship, people are with their families, but then still they experience boredom and they go to social media? Why do you think this is happening?
Basically, the level of stress in everyone's life has increased, and it's a similar pattern. You're with similar kind of people. If you go to the internet, you're in certain community, so you're
Right,
leading a certain pattern life.
right.
Sometimes it is too predictable. At the same time, we have started losing patience.
That
So
is the
it's
biggest thing.
very important. We just want to know what's happening or what can happen. So that's how you get into it, right? I mean, the level of accessibility has increased. The level of availability has increased. So one of the reasons why boredom seeps in is because of that. Or you just have certain time in your hand. Even if I remove the word boredom, you have the gadget in hand. You have the gadget in hand. You have the internet available. I mean, why not? That's how it is. It takes actually an effort to actually stay away from the gadget.
That has become a task nowadays. And it's truly said the gadget is readily available. You just have to open it and start scrolling.
If you
That's
actually see the statistics, one out of four people suffer from nomophobia. That is
yeah,
staying away from gadgets. So you see these new age lingos have also changed. You see a lot of new words coming in. This vocabulary is completely changing. It's a different world altogether.
absolutely. There's so many like FOMO and so many other slangs that are coming in, which are spoiling the language, I would
It's a
say.
new age lingo. It's a new age lingo. It's a new language that we need to learn. So
So true. We
more
have
to
to
do with
keep up with the language
adaptability.
change. But then, when you mentioned that there are communities online which people want to be a part of, there are groups online. But then, wouldn't it help to have groups or communities that will actually help people, especially men, to come out of anxiety, help them talk, open up, look for someone to connect with this similar struggle?
At any given point in time, humans are social animals. We
Mhm.
need people around us.
Right.
We like the human presence.
Mhm.
Communities help in building and nurturing.
Right.
What can be done is you select a certain community. For example, you choose a running group, you can choose a hobby group, something which takes you out completely from the daily tasks that you are doing, out of your professional life, out of your personal life, maybe a music class also. And that will help you, in understanding. It will help you become deeply absorbed with the activity. When you're interacting with different people on an interesting subject, it helps you learn. That particular brain center of your learning will start developing and it will start absorbing new information. The gratification of meeting newer people, talking to them, and talking on a topic which is of interest to you will actually make you feel very fruitful. It will make you feel very good within yourself. It releases your happy hormones. So you really feel good about the entire experience. So being in an online community is one option. Being in an offline community is an option. The other options could be, in the form of traveling to places, whether you're traveling in a group or whether you're just exploring the place solo. Just do things which make you feel good. The whole thing is about accepting the vulnerability of time. It's very
Right.
important that we understand that these times are very vulnerable
Absolutely.
and things can happen to anyone. Things are happening really very fast. So there are certain vulnerabilities that new age has exposed us to, and we need to understand those. At the same time, people are becoming aware. It's
Mhm.
it's it's it's
Yes.
mental health is a topic. Mental health is something about which a lot of awareness has been created. So whether it is men, women, or even the LGBT community, there are a lot of support groups which are available, and there are genuine people around. Although the level of trust is an issue throughout the world, if you come across a good support group or a good online community which nurtures your hobby or whatever activity you do, you really feel mentally secure. Having being a part of something or belonging to something which interests you, whether it is individual, solo, community, or anything, that will really help you overcome a lot of your problems. It just takes you out of the mundane things and bring you back to something which you really like. And who wouldn't want to have a happy face?
Absolutely. Why not? Everybody, I think everybody wants that. Everybody wants that. But then I wanted to ask, when everyone today is talking about mental health so much, again, people are becoming aware. What is the link between mental health and addiction or a kind of a habit? I mean, people get a lot of depressed and then they switch to social media. Now the social media depression switches them to some substance abuse or substance addiction or
See,
behavioral addiction.
the way it works, it depends on the age group that you're belonging to.
Mhm.
Every age group has a certain quality with it.
Mhm.
Teenagers are flamboyant, they don't like to be told. So that's a different world altogether. There is peer pressure during that age group. So that instigates you into doing things. It could be in the form of you getting bullied for not smoking or not trying drugs or having
Not
girlfriends
cool.
also or anything. So there is a different pressure in that age group. That can lead to addiction. That can lead to a lot of abuse. That can lead to a lot of mental health issues. The age group between 20 to 40 is your youth age where you have to be performing. You are new to your job. You are confused whether you want to do a job, whether you want to do a business, or whether you want to be in employment, whether
Mm.
you want to stay in India, whether you want to stay abroad. A lot of decision making happens during this time.
Too many things.
Energy is with you, but at the same time, you don't have the experience to take the right decision. So there is a lot of apprehension
Mm.
because of which this age group is vulnerable towards decision making. They are in the doing mode. There is a lot of pressure because your peers are doing something. Again, that
Yes.
works upon you. Responsibilities fall on you. Maybe you're getting married. Maybe you're thinking whether I should get married or not. Then you will see a lot of people falling out of marriage, falling out of relationships. So there is a lot of uncertainty during this time. But at the same time, everyone knows that they got to do something at this age because this is the age to make it happen. So there is pressure at that age. The vulnerabilities of them remain the same. Some people slog it by working extra hours. Some people don't do it. Then you will see a lot of office politics happening. She scored over me, he scored over me, and all those things happen. That's how these things work out. And then you have the 40 plus age group, which is still catching up with technology, but still now they have realized that they need to be a part of this as well. So they have to catch up on the backlog which is remaining. So you will see a lot of
They
them
have
trying to,
different
learn
anxiety.
new things, learn new gadgets, and trying to adapt to these newer ways. So specifically in terms of the mobile thing, which I'm talking, which I'm really very stressing a lot because it is the need of the hour. You
Yes,
will
it
see a
is.
lot of combinations in that, but predominantly you're driven by the age group that you belong to and the vulnerability of that age group. So that is how it normally works. I mean, mental health issues, if you actually see, you will fall them predominantly. If you see the teenage to 40 age group, you'll see a lot of stress level.
Yes,
Levels of stress are really very high. Peer pressure is really very high.
very high.
There's a lot of competition. In the 40 plus age group, sustainability becomes an issue. How do you sustain? How do you keep up your job? Um, The responsibilities are still there. You're not yet done with the responsibilities. And again, it's a new phase of life. So how do you cope up with that? So those kind of things really happen during this time. Your relationships may fall apart during this time as well. So it's a different phase of life. Things just change. So adapting is a very big thing with
True.
age that we all have to do across.
Absolutely, absolutely. But having so many stress factors around, having so much pressure in every age group, how do you set healthy boundaries in order to have a positive lifestyle changes?
First and foremost, we need to understand that there are two things that we need to know in life. One
Mm.
is what you can do, one which is beyond your control. You giving your exam, you studying for it is within your control. But if the examiner or the person who is checking your papers is not qualified, the university going on strike, or any such law and order situation coming is beyond your control. You cannot do anything. That's with the teenagers or the ones who are studying.
Right.
With the working class, knowing your priority at a given point in time, knowing your value system is very important. There are certain values on which you cannot compromise, they become your core values. Evaluating them against the situation, do what is needed is more important. However, that does not mean that you cross the line of ethics.
True.
You got to have a balanced value system in place. You need to have people to whom you can talk to. Having a mentor always helps. Having a supportive friend with whom you can converse and get your head clear will help. So these are the things that you need to be aware of. Having a good support group, understanding these vulnerabilities, knowing what is beyond your control. If you have taken the effort and it is not giving you result, it is frustrating. It is frustrating. Making mistakes is okay, but don't feel guilty about it. There is always a way out. You are a human being, you are not God. Nobody is going to punish you harsh more than yourself. You make a mistake, apologize if you feel it is right, correct the mistake where it is possible, where you feel it is not possible to, uh, uh, where it is not possible to repair the mistake, accepting that it is a mistake, understanding the space from which it is made. If you have made it from a space of hate, then having a good self conversation, a good self talk will actually release a lot of things from you. Once you know that this is the vulnerability from the space from which I have taken this decision and I have done this, then you know what corrective actions to take. Self-realization is very important for all of us.
Absolutely. I think that is important. And mistakes are life lessons. We should learn from them and move on rather than stay there, crave, develop an anxiety. But you said the factors which are not in your control or the priorities which you don't want to, prioritize rather. What could be some effective alternatives or therapies that can work or that anyone can use during that time, to have a clarity in the thought, work on your mentally health issues and everything throughout these pressures.
Journaling normally helps people a lot.
Mhm.
Having a journal will really help you a lot. That's one thing. When I talk about therapy, one of the best therapies that I've ever come across is the cognitive behavioral therapy,
Okay.
wherein they identify the event,
Mhm.
they identify the behavior, and then we identify the corrective actions that are needed. What are the triggering things? And
Right.
then what are the corrective actions? This is a sequentialized technique which has been in use for patients of all sorts of in mental health. And that is really very effective. It is almost like putting a brake to your mind. For
Uh,
example, you have anxiety, then you ask yourself, what is the triggering event? Once the triggering event happens, then you will have to, boil down to the fact on what actually happened before that and what is it that made you feel? How did you feel when that event happened? Once those emotions stand in front of you, then you will know what the clear picture is. And then you will be able to form a corrective action that takes you to the right place. It's very important that you be in a safe place. You protect yourself so that the vulnerability decreases. So when things are beyond your control, it's equally important that your sanity and your mental safety is really in place, and that will help you take you to a lot of places.
Absolutely. But then how
Other
do
than
we,
that,
yeah.
I would say meditation is a good technique. But before meditation, to avoid the mind clutter, it's important that you express. It could be
Hmm.
in the form of dance, it could be in the form of talking, it could be in the form of, the way I said, cognitive behavioral therapy, and then getting on with meditation with that clear mindset. If you sit for meditation in a very anxious state of mind, it might fire back, because everyone cannot do meditation. So one of the best ways is also, the other technique that I would say is progressive muscle relaxation, wherein you contract your body, each of your body parts, for 5 seconds, and then you release them. You
Okay.
contract it and you release them. That will help you, get over your emotions. Because uh, when an event occurs, anxiety or stress happens, your body goes into a closed state of mind, and that's where everything closes down. So in order to get over it, do a progressive muscle relaxation, wherein you're contracting and expanding your muscles. Do it to each and every body part, starting with your feet till your head, from your head till your feet. Do it at least 4 to 5 times. It will help you a lot in overcoming a lot of your issues. It will bring you back to sanity.
Right. Is
Another
this,
technique that I would recommend is the alternate nostril breathing for everyone. Just
uh,
closing one nostril and breathing out from the other. This helps stabilize a lot of emotions. These are few techniques that I would recommend, to keep your mental sanity on.
oh, wow. I mean, we can, I think we can call them coping mechanisms where people can use it to, stabilize yourself, or rather,
Yes.
take a
Yes.
break. But then
Yes.
how do we, I mean, how do people understand? And do we need someone to push ourselves to these, or do we need someone to tell us that you need to do this? How do they realize that we have to do this to, in order to have a stable?
Most of us, when we realize it, we start taking actions.
No. True.
Highly stressed people will understand this very well. People who are hypertensive understand this very well. That action is the most important thing. In today's times, there is something called as a SMART goal.
Yeah.
You have to do goal setting. So relaxation can also be a goal set.
But then what is the benchmark that, you understand that you need a therapy, you need such coping mechanisms when you have arrived at this stage? What is the benchmark? Because some of the people would not know that they do need certain help or certain therapy, but then they keep going deeper, deeper, they keep falling into the trap. So what would be the benchmark where they understand, no, now it's time to stop, now it's time to get help, and stop, take a break, stabilize yourself? What would be the benchmark?
Mental health is a very complex field. It's very
Mhm.
difficult to tell whether the person sitting in front of you is depressed or not. They may be laughing and still you may not know that they are depressed.
Yes.
In psychology, there is a term called laughing depression, wherein you see that the person is really very happy. They really sound very ecstatic from outside, but internally they are highly depressed, and these have led to suicidal conditions as well. People have committed suicide under happy circumstances. It's
Yes.
very difficult even for a psychologist to tell when the person is susceptible. So the benchmark is not the word to use. How do you know? The question can be, how do you know that you need mental help?
Hmm.
The answer to that is really very simple. You know your stress levels, you know when you have crossed them. Typically on a given day, when you see that you're not able to cope up. Second parameter can be your friends and family telling you that you are in need of help. There are certain observations which they will know better than you. These are various ways of doing it. In case of children, the parents would be a better parameter to tell. In case of older people, it could be the observations around, or it could be your own need to, seek professional help. Nowadays, every organization has a 24/7 helpline to help you with counseling. So there are avenues available. It's very much acknowledged that people do need help and it's available everywhere. So instead of benchmark, I would say it's just that when you see the changes happening in you, when you see that you are not able to cope up, then it is the best time to, seek for help, or when your friends and family tell you about it.
But then when our friends and family tell us, when our close family or even best friends around us, people who are observing us tell us that we need help, it's often discounted because the person who needs help often has an attitude like, I don't have anything, I'm not unwell, मुझे कुछ नहीं हुआ. And then they often discount it and they often ignore it. So what could be the trick or trick of the trade which can push them towards getting a help or something?
Constantly bombarding would not help them at all.
Mm-hmm.
Mild persuasion techniques will help you.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of using the words like therapy or mental health,
Uh-huh.
it's better that you talk it out through with them.
Okay.
Normally, the way counseling works is a very friendly way, not like a clinic where you go and sit and have, these long sessions. Even they do it really very well these days. Things have developed, creating awareness that, it's okay to ask for help, giving good examples, and that actually would help set the precedent as to, like, that person can be convinced to at least give it a try instead of forcing them into it.
So okay, another question I just had in mind, I mean, when we going back to the conversation about social media, behavioral habits and issues, and substance issues, normally these days we see a lot of people stuck into a loop, having social media habits, getting them into social media social media habits, getting them into substance habits or abuse, getting them into behavioral addictions. So it kind of becomes a loop where they're stuck, one thing leading to another. How do you break that loop?
So that's what I'm saying. You need to know what's within your control, what is outside your control. You need to actually see, given that everything is available online these days, you have to actually make it a habit. You have to give it a try to come out of your own self. For example, I have taken up walking for an hour in the evening recently. I do exercise in the morning, but my evening walk actually serves as a good motivation for me because that's an activity which I have determined to do.
Okay.
It is a determination that I will come out of my rut of my own self and try out something.
Right.
And it's an activity which I like to do. It's me, my time. And that's what gives me a lot of peace.
Absolutely.
You need to understand what is the priority. What is it that you want? Being stuck in a loop, it may give you a good feeling, so be it good for you. But there are many people who would want to break it out.
Right.
Start with something really small.
Right.
Start with 5 minutes.
Right.
Start with 1 minute.
Right.
It could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you could, in case of mobile addiction, I would say you reward yourself by saying that I'll work for the next 1 hour without using my mobile phone and then browse through my mobile for 10 minutes. That
Right.
serves as a good reward for you.
Yes.
Instead of, you becoming a slave to that mobile, you empower yourself by saying that I will take that as a reward. It's the way you look at things, it's the way you use things.
Right.
So it's your time and your priority, which will actually tell you what to do. And a little change in perspective will set the precedence a lot. The way I said it, the evening activity actually made a hell lot of difference to me, not just physically, but also mentally. So it's the same with all the others. I would say that start small, start rewarding yourself by saying, I will work for so and so time, and I will use this much as a reward for not using my phone for a long time. So the way you look at it will actually change a lot of things for you.
Yes. I do that a lot these days because I have two daughters and I don't want them to get addicted to phone. In the morning, I don't look at my phone before breakfast. I do my exercise and everything, play with them. And in the evening, once I'm home after 9:30, 10, I don't look at my phone, because I know my daughters are going to, look at the phone, and they are not going to get away from it. It's going to be an addiction to them. So I try to avoid the phone at night and in the evening. Sorry, in the morning. So that's one healthy habit I've developed. And I think it's important that people do develop this habit instead of just scrolling around and, yeah, continuously getting addicted to such social medias, getting deeper into it. Well, anyways, it was a wonderful conversation, Preeti. Thank you for your time. I am sure when this podcast episode publishes, a lot of people will get to know a lot of things. They'll learn, they'll try to implement them, and they'll, I think, try to monitor where they are today in terms of habits. And I'm sure it is going to be useful to a lot of people who are watching this to change their lifestyle in a positive way. Thank you very much for coming. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And look forward to stay in touch for more such conversations.
Oh, yes, Saurabh, thank you so much. And I really enjoyed being a part of this podcast. This is my first podcast. So, really,
Wow.
when, feeling really great. I've been doing these offline sessions and I do provide sessions. But in terms of a podcast, this is the first one on one. I normally do group coaching or I'm in webinars or something like that. But this was really a great interaction. And I really wish you all the best. And thanks for getting me.
No problem. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.